The Bruins run all over Iowa. The turnaround for DeShaun Foster and company is real as UCLA notches their first home victory of the 24 campaign.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. This is a reaction episode to UCLA's victory over Iowa in the Rose Bowl, 20-17. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season big on FanDuel. All right, so where we get going? UCLA, man, who would have thought in this game, UCLA, the team, this was a battle between two top 20 rushing defenses when you go based off yards per game. All right, total rushing defenses. Both teams allowed just a tick over 100 yards rushing per game. And then all of a sudden, what does UCLA come out and do? The Bruins did what Michigan State did against the Iowa defense and thrashed them on the ground for over 200 yards, currently totaled at what I'm looking at, 211 yards on the ground. And out of nowhere, TJ Harden comes in and averages 6 yards per carry, 125 yards on the ground, and just was fantastic. One of the best running rushes of the game was the Keegan Jones end around where he stayed in bounds, got a first down and more. In the meantime, I'm also watching the UCLA basketball game in the background. So we're going a little crazy, back and forth action right now. Keegan Jones was good. Jalen Berger was there. This game didn't even need an Ethan Garbers 50-yard run for the Bruins to get 200 yards. It was, in the blink of an eye, the Bruins are down 10-0, 2 terrible turnovers. And you're like, what are you doing, UCLA? What are you doing? You might have to leave early. It was that type of game. The way it felt with the atmosphere in the Rose Bowl, with what I felt were annoying Iowa Hawkeye fans. They were probably the most annoying fan base we've dealt with this year, in my humble opinion. All right, they're quite annoying, I felt. But, you know, a few don't speak for the many. UCLA, though, you have to tip your caps to the defense. Like, they made Iowa's offense that has been somewhat turned around with Brendan Sullivan, that had been, I think, averaging close to 30 points per game, figuring it out. UCLA out of nowhere was like, you know what? We're going to shut you down. Held Iowa to 10 points. Did something stupid like they always have been to take Iowa field goal off the board, allow the Hawkeyes to come back and tie it in the fourth. But then the Bruins just marched down the field, kicked a field goal, stopped Iowa, ran the ball, and said, we're not giving you the ball back. We're going to win this game outright, which is what the Bruins did, who are now 4-5 in conference, or 4-5 overall, 3-4 in conference, and now they're not in the driver's seat for a bowl game, but UCLA's only got to win 2 of their last 3, and for a team that started 1-5 and looked like one of the worst teams in the country, couldn't run the ball, couldn't figure it out offensively, they have found different ways to win. Garbers, literally with his arm single-handedly against Rutgers, a bit of a balanced attack, I would say, a balanced attack against Nebraska, and today, despite Garbers' 3 turnovers, the defense also forced 3 turnovers, and UCLA found something on the ground against Iowa in a conference where UCLA is not physical enough. They're not going to be good enough. The defense has not faced a top running back like Caleb Johnson. The kid only had 49 yards on the ground. They stacked the box and said, you're going to get 2 yards per carry. And that's pretty much what he got the whole game with about 18 carries. Sullivan, the Iowa quarterback, threw 9 passes, 2 of which were picked off, and Kane Medrano literally stripped the ball out of his hands, leading to a UCLA possession. 2 picks by Carson Schlesinger, and that got the game rolling for the Bruins. You only saw 15 pass attempts from Iowa. 1 play did burn the Bruins on 1 long pass attempt, a couple of long passing attempts. I think this is a game, if Ethan Garbers doesn't make some early dumb mistakes, the Bruins probably win this by a much wider margin. But to Iowa's credit, they took advantage of early UCLA miscues. The Bruins had it, 2nd and goal to 3. They don't run it. I thought that was a mistake. You see how UCLA pounded the ball on the ground, leads to a hit quarterback with probably a poor decision leading to that 2nd pick, an early pick that was 3rd and long and just a terrible decision. And then, man, it was just awful with Garbers fumbling it out of the end zone. Twice UCLA turned it all over near the end zone. I could hear UCLA fans, UCLA friends, and everybody screaming at their TV, Justin Martin. Well, the Bruins gave their senior quarterback a little leeway and were able to endure what was a terrible first half for Ethan Garbers. There's no other way to put it. But the veteran made some moves, getting on an end around, read option, first down, staying in bounds, some nice passes, including the long one on 3rd and long for UCLA to complete it and win the game, ice the game out, and just kneel it out for UCLA. Again, no J. Michael Sturdivant, no Maliki Matavao, no Rico Flores Jr. That's UCLA's 3 best receiving options, whether it's stat-wise, talent-wise, best transfer portal get-wise. And UCLA, with Garber still without some of his best options, hit Logan Loya, who's just tried and true, with a big-time catch for a touchdown right before the half. Quasi Gilmer, man, some of the plays he's been making have been fantastic. Bryce Pierre, I'm looking here. It says he only has 2 receptions for 25 yards. It felt like he had much more, but the Bruins overall all did it together. And then a nice catch from Titus Mokiao-Atamalala for a UCLA touchdown where they're at the 1. An overall complete effort for the Bruins, who the defense, you forced 3 turnovers. Let's not forget what Mateen Bagani. Yes, he missed a field goal because UCLA was letting him blast it from deep. But to get the Bruins on the board, shift the momentum when they're down 10-0, they get stopped in Iowa territory, and the Bruins come out and you're like, they're kicking a field goal? Does this kid have that type of range right now? Yes, he hit a 57-yarder. And then I think he missed, a 56 or another 57-yarder and had the leg? I mean, man, what a find UCLA was able to get with this kid in the portal. Completely changed the kicking game because with UCLA getting points on that drive to start the second quarter, the next play was a pick. The Bruins go down and score. That just changes the momentum, changes the ball game for this UCLA team where now you're looking at the standings. Wisconsin or any of these teams lose between the Illinois, Washingtons, the Michigans, the Wisconsins of the world. UCLA could leapfrog in the standings. They're preseason predicted to be 15th in the conference. Locked On College Football, Spencer McLaughlin's saying they're only going to go 3-9. Well, here they are, 3 games left, and they've got 4 wins with an opportunity for a bowl game. If you can go knock off Washington, then you have a grand chance. But still, it's a better chance when you have 2 home games remaining, a tough Washington game remaining. UCLA is in the hunt to be bowl eligible in a season where it looked nothing close. Apparently, what we didn't realize was UCLA had to take their wounds, just take it all, and they're maybe the best 1-5 team in the country. And how, if they didn't blow that game against Minnesota, man, this team looks completely different from a few weeks ago. There are still some sloppy things UCLA needs to clean up, right? Early in the game, it was like 7 penalties for UCLA to Iowa's 1. And I'm not there, a couple penalties. I was like, what is going on with this? What's seemingly Big Ten bias, but a lot of it was UCLA's sloppy play. And that's got to get cleaned up, including the leverage call that changed Iowa's field goal drive into a game-tying touchdown drive when they had their third-string quarterback basically playing, right? Because there's no Cade McNamara. They went to Sullivan kind of based off play and injury, and they went to another guy, and they still didn't have enough to win, which UCLA at home should be able to win these games in the Big Ten. But with how they performed earlier, I was like, are they going to win? They're 5.5-point dogs at home, maybe 6.5, depending on how the line trended right before the game. No, the Bruins came out. They're the more physical team. They ran the ball. TJ Harden said, I'm going to make some moves. And he made some moves to get some extra yards. He was popping off these Iowa defenders who looked faster, more physical in the first drive or two. And the Bruins completely figured it out. So you have to give hats off to Bieniemy for figuring it out, the game plan, or just realizing that maybe Iowa was all talk. Because all the talk about UCLA sucking, hey, 4-5 with the schedule UCLA has played this year, all right? UCLA's 5 losses are to 4 of which are to teams in the, top 10, top 15. And the other one is to a bowl-eligible Minnesota team who UCLA should have been at home if they don't give up a touchdown in the last second of the game. All right, at least forced overtime. in that situation. Fantastic effort by UCLA. I'm stunned. Under no circumstances did I think, all right, Iowa, they're not going to run. They're going to run for less than 125 yards, and the Bruins would run for over 200 yards in this game. Or if a game where Garbers turns it over 3 times, UCLA's defense would be strong enough to force 3 turnovers from the Hawkeyes and just be like, we're taking the ball from you. We don't give a damn. And they just ripped it, picked it off, said, go back to Iowa. Go take your fans and whatever you. That was a fun crowd to be with at the Rose Bowl. It was loud. It was fun. It was packed in. Yes, the Tarps. Yeah, that was a fun, incredible environment that when UCLA can eventually get these stupid tarps off, get it all good, there can be something building here. And I think, especially if UCLA can knock off Washington, it's going to start tipping. And we're going to feel that energy for the UCLA-USC game heading into a bowl game. That would be so much fun. All right. I remember these bowl game situations, they're still running as a bowl team from a Pac-12 conference affiliation because of if that happens. If that even happens. I'm thinking way too far ahead. UCLA is supposed to do it. 3 wins in a row. The first DeShaun Foster win in home and the Rose Bowl as a head coach. And what does he keep saying? Martin hired the right guy. And man, the way they're playing now, looks like Martin hired the right guy. Are you hiring for your small business right now? Because you want to find a quality professional that fits your role specifically. So check out LinkedIn Jobs. Those LinkedIn Jobs have the tools to help you find the right professionals faster for your team and for free. And it's not just another job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. And over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are available now only for $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For specific disclosures, visit robinhoodgold.com/gold. Once again, robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is affected and offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And boom! Check out FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because, hey, the Bruins, apparently the bet against UCLA rule works. UCLA were 5.5-point dogs. So technically, if you literally went to FanDuel and bet on the Bruins, you're probably making some money this year, right? But the proverbial, if you're going with the mental mindset like I've been, and you're like, hey, hopefully UCLA wins, but you mentally do it, but you click something else on FanDuel. You, as a new customer, bet $5, and if you win, you can get $150 in bonus bets on FanDuel. If you win your first $5 bet as a new customer, check out FanDuel.com to get in on all the action. Cruising on. Man, UCLA wins this 20-17 over Iowa. Fantastic win. First home win of the 24 campaign. Who would have thought UCLA in a season, if they got their first home win in November, right? Their first home win in November, that they'd actually be pushing for a bowl bid, right? You're thinking they get their first home win in November. We thought the Indiana game was something. Maybe the Minnesota game could have been something. But they got their first home win in November, and they're feeling good with 3 straight games ending in dubs for DeShaun Foster, who all his quote is to the post-game pressers, all the ways the UCLA Bruins have improved, whether it's defensively, showcasing the big leg of Pagani tonight, and then, hey, the offensive adjustments, winning in different ways despite struggles or adjustments and making those second half, struggles turn into a success for a late drive. The Bruins are finding ways to win games, dang it. So get your hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. All right. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA fight by fights. And again, if you're looking for that reaction for UCLA basketball, I will talk about that in a separate episode released on Saturday, November 9th. In the meantime, for UCLA football, they kicked some butt and got it going on. Big time win, and that sets themselves up for a big time bowl eligibility, potentially for a bowl berth. So let's go Bruins. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins!